future. No technology, no technological breakthroughs, no technological evolution is changing human nature. Latest iPhones will never change the fact that people, have been killing each other over a piece of land. They're still doing the same. They're killing each other over a piece of land. How can we ensure that? How can we resolve this issue? Because technological improvements are not improving human beings. Maybe because the memory, ancestral memory is so strong in us that we still remember how our ancestors were fighting over a piece of bread. Maybe we'll continue doing the same because of the memory we have.
See, the thing is, if anything needs to happen, a certain amount of human energy, time and resource has to be dedicated to it. For example, somebody was telling me, in 1860, when certain survey was done in United States, some kind of observation, probably studying dead bodies and stuff like that, the skeletal systems and things, they said in 1860, nearly 60% of the people would start losing their teeth at the age of 40. And in 1860, nearly 97% of United States was illiterate. But today, people have their teeth intact even if they're 90. And today, 100% is literate. How does this happen? Simply because we invested in what is called as schoolrooms and teachers and toothbrushes and mothers. We invested. If we did not invest, even today we would be losing our teeth, even today we would be illiterate. So, we have to invest in consciousness. Till now, we've been investing only in our survival. But once the technologies that they're talking about starts becoming a reality, which is already becoming, survival will not even be an issue. When survival is not an issue, we will definitely start investing, but the sooner we invest, with less aberration, we can move into these new possibilities. As Dr. Kaku said, it's always a double-edged sword. Which way are you going to use it depends on who you are, isn't it? So whether your identity and your experience is very exclusive or your identity and experience is very inclusive, this will determine which shape and in which way the sword will swing.
Спасибо большое. У нас есть время, что…
Thank you so much. We still have some time left for the questions from the audience. Does anybody have any questions? Members of the audience? No questions from the audience? No, there is one.
For your really fruitful visions shared with us. My name is Konstantin Sonkin. I'm CEO of a startup and a researcher in the field of neuroscience. And my question is to Michio. Dr. Kaku, please, you shared with us your long-term vision about neurocommunication and brain-computer interfaces. But may I ask you about like short-term goals for us, for developers, what to develop first of all to contribute to daily life of a large population of consumers to increase the level of life of humanity. Thank you.
You ask a question, what are short-term goals in terms of brain-computer interface? Well, first of all, in the United States, the driving force behind this technology is the Pentagon. The Pentagon has given $150 million to create exoskeletons to bypass the injured spinal cord of soldiers wounded in Afghanistan and Iraq, so that the human brain directly communicates with an artificial hand, an artificial leg, and can walk. And if you saw the World Cup soccer games 2 years ago in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the man who kicked the football, initiating the Sao Paulo games, was totally paralyzed. He was a quadriplegic. He could not walk. But at Duke University in North Carolina, they put a chip in his brain to hook him up to an exoskeleton, and he kicked the football. So the immediate gains is for people who are injured in football accidents, car accidents, injuries of the spinal cord, injuries in warfare, to create an artificial body controlled directly by the human brain. Now, my colleague Stephen Hawking, the physicist who died recently, lost control of his fingers and vocal cords, but he could still communicate. And how? Because his brain communicated with a chip, a radio in his glasses. That chip picked up radio from his brain, converted it to electricity to a laptop computer, and Stephen was able to think and write. So by thinking, he was able to write books and communicate with the outside world. So here's an immediate benefit for people who are paralyzed, their spinal cord is no longer functioning, they are disconnected from the world, and this will also make possible a brain chip for Alzheimer's patients, because we can now upload simple memories in mice and also in monkeys. Simple memories can now be put on the internet. This means that we want to create a brain pacemaker for Alzheimer's patients so that memories can come flooding into their brain. And the Pentagon, again, recently gave $50 million to create a memory chip for soldiers, but also for Alzheimer's patients. And so here we have an immediate market for people who are afflicted with injuries, spinal cord injuries, as well as the aging process, to allow them to bypass the spinal cord, to access memories that they've lost. And here is a market for companies that can utilize this to make money, to create products to alleviate human suffering.
Пожалуйста.
Thank you so much. I have a question to Satoru. I'm very much interested in your point of view. Do you think a man can change his destiny in this life by taking certain steps, or do you think all his steps, whatever he does in his life, are related to other lives that would follow and his transformations? In other words, can a person, or should a person, try to change his destiny now, or his destiny is preset, and whatever he does in this life will only affect his future lives?
What generally people are calling as destiny is what they largely create unconsciously. Whatever we do unconsciously, we can also do it consciously. If you can move your hand unconsciously, you can also move it consciously. So similarly, if you're creating your life unconsciously, you can also create it consciously. If you create something consciously, of course, you would make it the way you want it. So, destiny means a largely unconscious accumulations taking shape and taking their own tendencies and leading you on. You can make a conscious destiny. When you fail to make a conscious destiny, then generally it gets referred to as fate, fixed destiny. But is your destiny fixed? Definitely not. Otherwise, why all this effort? If everything is fixed, why you and me should live? We could die at our birth and just fine, isn't it? It's definitely in your hands. Whether you take it into your hands or not is always the question, it's an individual question.
Abdul, entrepreneur, I have a question to distinguished Sadhguru. My question is as follows. When you said that we need to invest in as much into consciousness as much as in technology, so that consciousness becomes an island where humanity can preserve itself in